It's been just over 7 months since I sold my Nikon D500 and bought this, the Nikon Z6II. What am I thought? Am I disappointed? Should I go back? Am I happy with it? Let's talk about it. Before I get started, sorry if you can hear a bit of wind noise. It is very windy out here. I just want to take a little bit of time and explain why I sold the D500 and I bought the Z6II and why I would never go back to the D500. Let me preface this by saying that when you're buying a camera, you're buying it for yourself. You're not buying it for other people. You're the one that's going to use the camera. Some people might say, well, the Z6II is not for me. It doesn't have bird eye autofocus. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that. It has blackout between photos. Yeah, I know all that. The D500 didn't have eye autofocus as well. You just get used to something that you don't have. What is the point of whinging and complaining about things that are not on the camera when you know about? Oh, I bought the Z6II knowing a slight amount of blackout between frames. I got used to it. Also, I knew it didn't have bird eye autofocus, but I got used to it. And you know, I would never go back to the D500. Yes, the D500 was a great camera, but it was a one-horse camera. It was good at one thing, and that was action sports, bird, fast action, 10 frames per second. The Z6II in continuous mode will only shoot at 5.5 frames per second unless you go to extended continuous, and you will be able to go as high as 14 frames per second. Just 7 months of using it, I'm finding at a point where I'm very confident going out and knowing that I am going to get the photos that I want, and I hardly ever miss the shot. Why? Because I've gotten to learn how to use this camera. Instead of bagging, instead of saying, oh, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, you learn to use something that it was designed for. The Z6II was never meant to be a dedicated wildlife camera. If you're looking at it that way, then you're wrong. It was a jack of all trade, and that's how I bought it. But I have gotten used to setting up the menu so it will be a great wildlife camera, and it has become a great wildlife camera for me. Sure, I can't shoot as quick as the D500. There are some limitations to it, but you know, I like taking photos. But these days, I love capturing video of birds in motion or light. And this is something that the D500 was very weak at because it was already a crop sensor camera. We cropped at 1.5. So when I was taking video, it cropped in quite a bit. But then if I want to shoot in 4K on the D500, it cropped at 1.7. So you lost so much. Sure, I had a bit more tunnel vision. I could get closer, but I just lost so much of the surrounding. If I wanted to videotape the surroundings, the Z6II at 4K, 25 frames per second, I don't lose anything. Bear in mind that 90% of the time these days, I shoot at 50 frames per second. And I'll show a quick clip here showing you the difference between 25 frames and 50 frames and the amount of frame that I lose. The benefit of shooting at 50 frames per second is that I have double the data. I can reduce the frame rate in post-processing, giving me that super slow-mo, like this short clip that you see here of some common myas frolicking around at the top of a tree. The D500 couldn't do that. And I could crop in more because double the data, I can crop in more and still have the same picture quality. Also, the Z6II, being a mirrorless, I can look and adjust all my settings through the viewfinder. No more having to take the eye off the viewfinder and go like, oh, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, or guess where the buttons are. And with the eye menu that I can look through the viewfinder, I can have my eye on the viewfinder here, click the eye menu, go, okay, I'm going to change my metering from center weighted to spot, or I can change from DX crop to FX crop. I can do anything that I want that I programmed in the eye menu. It means I have less time to miss a shot. D500 couldn't do that. Another thing with mirrorless cameras is that what you see is what you get. If I'm looking at birds, if I'm photographing the egrets are white, very hard to compose. I go like, it looks like I'm overexposing. I could quickly grab the exposure compensation dial, bring it down, and I can see it through the viewfinder. Go, hey, I'm on the money. With the D500 being a digital SLR, I had to guess, oh, okay, I need like 3/4 of a stop to reduce the exposure. Okay, it's good. Oh no, I've still blown it out. Readjust it. I could easily miss shots, and I miss so many shots like that. Sure, I got the shot, but the shot was overexposed. Or you overcompensate and you're like, oh, now I've got to expose the shot correctly in post, which a lot of the time means inducing more noise in my photos. These are some of the benefits of mirrorless and the benefit of the Z6II. Now I know some people in the comment section will say, just go straight to a Z9. The Z6II I bought on special for only $2,600. The Z9 is close to $8,000. There's no way that this little bunny can afford an $8,000 camera. Nor do I want the Z9. It is just way too heavy for me. I'm very happy with what I have. The beauty also with the Z6II, and something that I really missed on the D500 compared to the Nikon D7500 that I had beforehand, was custom menu buttons right on the dial here. Here we have U1, U2, U3. The D7500 had U1, U2. The D500, none of that. One of the benefits of having these custom functions is that U1 I have set for normal landscape photography. U2 is my go-to button for wildlife. So I've programmed the camera for wildlife photography in photography mode and in video mode. So when I go to video mode, it's all preset. I don't have to say, oh, okay, I've got to redo this, go to photo, and then come back to video, readjust everything. It's their program. U3 is for landscape photography, where I need long exposures so that the camera holds 2 seconds before it takes a photo. I can also set it to have long exposure noise reduction if I'm doing astrophotography. All these are not on the D500. This is why I don't regret leaving my D500. Would I go back to it now? No way, because I've gotten so used to using this camera that I would feel going to the D500 now would limit me. Now, I'm not saying you should go out and buy the Z6II. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that for me, the Z6II was the camera that I wanted, was the camera that I needed, and it fills all my needs. But if you're just into photography, you're not worried about video at all, and you've got a D500, keep the D500. And I found with the 200 to 500 here on the Z6II, it is a perfect match. Now, a lot of time, because I've gone from a DX crop camera to a full frame, I'm actually shooting at 200 to 500. On my D500, my field of view was really 350 to 750 because I've got that 1.5 magnification. The Z6II sensor is so good that I can shoot in DX mode. Of course, I'm not getting 24 megapixels. I'm only getting 12 megapixels. But those 12 megapixels, wow, they are so good. So little noise. You've got to be careful that you can't crop too much in. But the Z6II is so good at high ISO. Now, on the D500, really if I went higher than about ISO 4000 or ISO 5000 for wildlife, I paid for it. And it was very hard removing that noise for wildlife photos in post-processing. The Z6II, well, I've shot at ISO 10,000. And using a bit of noise reduction software, the photos have come up magically. I couldn't have dreamed of doing that with my D500. They're my reasons why I've gone from the D500 to the Z6II. If you're shooting just wildlife, you're not worried about video and all that, you've got a D500 or even the D7500, there's no need to upgrade. You have to make do. You don't blame the camera. If you're not getting good photos, it's you. I've gone through all that. If I just had this camera, I could take better photos. No, sorry, you're not going to take better photos. If you can't master the camera that you've got, the next camera isn't going to solve your problems. To be honest, I didn't realize how different the Z6II was compared to my D500. With the autofocus modes, it just took me time to get used to it. And at the start, it was very frustrating. I'd come home and I'd tell my wife, oh, I just missed these shots. Why? Because I was in a learning phase. It was like riding a push bike. I'd fall off sometimes, but I got back on my bike and I kept riding. I kept watching videos and then just practice. Practice makes perfect. I've taken thousands of photos hours of video on there, and I'm very confident now when I go out that I can get the shot, I can get the video quality that I want. So they're my reasons. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up, stay safe, enjoy your photography, and I'll see you next time.